Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome back to the Stink Bug Works. The other day, I was talking about gears. I think it might have been last Friday or Thursday or Friday. Stand by. And I was saying that Steve New has some 1105 motors that have a stupid high kV, and because he's been sitting on them for a while, he's selling them cheap, and I'm half tempted to buy them and put them in a gearbox and make a drag boat, because with one motor, a twin prop drag boat has to have a gearbox. You got to get some way to spin two props. So, and we talked about gearboxes, and a guy by the name of Ed Huey, who was one of the founding fathers of fast electrics, discovered that while car motors worked fine with small props on 6 and 7 round cells, they really didn't do bigger boats very well. And Ed figured out that, you could run these things on 12 cells if you put two of them together in a gearbox, spun one shaft, and let the motors spin up to a real high RPM where they were more efficient. And so as a result, he was pretty successful. And his gearbox was just a larger version of this. It mounted two motors that drove one shaft, and then that shaft had a coupler on it, and everything else was what you would expect to see. And he was real successful with that. And so this is during the time of brushed motors. And in brushed motors, you were lucky if you got a choice of 3 different KVs. Usually, you got the KV they gave you. So a lot of guys used gears. You could speed things up, you could slow them down, but gears essentially change your torque and your KV. You can make a 10,000 RPM per volt motor behave like a 3,000 RPM per volt motor if you gear it down 3.33333 to 1. So with that, a lot of guys started making gears. Hell, I made gears. I made this and used 2 Speed 500 motors. Now, those were, no, not Speed 500, I'm sorry, Speed 300 motors. Now, those were the little Mitsubishi can motors, but they had a KV of 5,000. So they were little screamers. The problem with them was they had bronze bushings, and with that high a KV, those bushings didn't last very long. If your prop was the least bit out of balance, it was good for, 5 flights. Then you threw the motor away. So anyway, I ran 2 Speed 300s in this in a boat on 8 cells. And, I kept this all these years. And, look at this. It's simple. It's 2 pieces of angle aluminum joined by an aluminum plate. Drill some holes. But it will fit today's, 20-sized motors. And I can get any one of a number of pinions in there. So that was one of my early gear designs. And then somewhere I have a video posted of an old Key West catamaran I have somewhere in the archives, and it has the original Ed Huey drive. I'm running a Leonard Basic 5300, so that's, again, 5300 RPM per volt, high KVs. We're going to be looking at high KV motors today. Then, when I was running the first round of the Santee boats, we had the little MHZ and the little H&M round nose hydroplanes, and we were running those on a Mystery 3000. This is 5000. The 3000 had a slightly longer can and a lower KV. And I came across this one and said, well, you know what? I could gear that one up. What would happen? So I made this little carbon fiber motor mount and made a little gear drive. And this thing ran really well in those little hydros. It ran surprisingly well. It was smooth and quiet. Now, granted, we all know it takes power to transmit power. It takes power to rotate this shaft. It takes power to rotate these bearings. So, it does suck power here and there. It's understood. Then I tried a little uber micro gear drive. So using this philosophy of a carbon fiber mount with a smile cut that allows the motor to rotate, just shrink it down and make this little tiny one, and bingo. And this little guy is smooth as can be. And, this little motor's like 10,000 RPM per volt, I think. It's something stupid, or 11,000, or maybe it's 12,000. God, I don't know. I'd need a stronger magnifying glass than I have right now, and I don't see one handy. Anyway, just some thoughts on gearboxes. You can get away with a smaller motor because this amplifies the torque as it slows it down. So this behaves like a bigger motor. That's why I was thinking that 10,000 RPM per volt new motor. But then I got to looking at the price of gears. I would need 1, 2, 3 large pinion gears at about 35 to 40 bucks each, and then one smaller pinion gear at maybe 20 bucks each. Then, depending on the quality of the bearings you get, I need 2 shafts. So there's 4 bearings, 2, precision 5mm shafts. The shafts are the least expensive thing. And then you have to put them in something. So this gear drive could be, $300. Well, guess what? We have to go back and find a better subject. So anyway, that was my thinking on gears. I thought I'd let you know. It's just talk. I don't think I'm going to do anything because for the KV that I see right here, today I can go buy a motor that does that. The need for gears is gone. You can get motors with KVs all over the place. So why add the weight? Why add the complexity? Why add the drag? Unless you have to. If you're doing a drag boat with 2 shafts, I don't see any other way if you're only using one motor. If you're using 2 motors, then Big B nailed it. There you go, 2 motors. We're good. Okay, boys and girls, until next time, jet out.